Good morning, friends. Welcome once again to another daily dose from your Covid Chaplain. G'day from Australia. And great to have you with us as we build in this week some fantastic thoughts on the subject of Be Free. Be Free Week for you this week. And particularly because of the COVID-19 situation. Now, I know some of you are kind of not affected by it at all. Fantastic. But the Be Free message still has a lot to do with how you will live now and into the future. So I do trust you're paying attention. But for others that are really caught in the sense of lockdown and the sense of restriction that's been coming upon people around the world, in certain places at least, because of COVID-19, there can be a real challenge to not erupt or give in to the pressure to respond in some way that's evil. Some way. When I say evil, I don't mean sinful and wicked, like you're going and robbing banks or something. I'm talking about evil that is meant to actually steal, kill, and destroy your freedom and your happiness and your peace and God's blessing in your life. That kind of evil comes against you and it tempts you. Now, we've looked this week already at a couple of biggies. The first one we looked at way back on Monday was the issue of anger. And it's easy to kind of feel like, hey, this isn't right. Yeah, you hear the story of the guy who went into a Costco store with a loud hailer and started shouting that he was really upset that big businesses could be open and the small businesses couldn't. And that's certainly something to be really annoyed about, particularly because there seems to be a plan to destroy small business. I guess if they're going to bring in kind of global controls, they want everyone to be kind of leveled off. Big companies, the people that make the money and hold all the power, and then the rest of us. And so if you're a small businessman and you're making your way, they want to destroy that. And what a better way to do it than lockdown and say that you can't have customers, and yet the big stores can. Hey, how does that figure out? And so you can understand there would be anger about that. And there are a lot of people erupting with anger and frustration about what they're being put through. And the other area that we talked about this week, back on Tuesday, I think, was the issue of fear. Oh no, what's going to happen now? Better get the jab as quick as I can. Oh, I hope it doesn't do anything nefarious to me, and on with the sort of concerns. And those things are kind of fairly natural. I mean, anger can rise up within us fairly naturally, and fear can rise up within us fairly naturally. The problem with them is that if we let them overcome us, we become their slave. We become a slave to anger and find that we're getting angry about all sorts of things all over the place. Or we become a slave to fear. We find that we're getting fearful about all sorts of things. It's really made us into its pawn. And so we need freedom. And so a couple of the verses we've looked at already this week. Do not be overcome by evil. That's the first one we started with. I talked to you too about the fact that if Jesus sets you free, if the Son sets you free, you are truly free. Fantastic. And then we looked yesterday at a really important verse, 1 John chapter 1 verse 9, which talks about confessing our sins to God and Him forgiving us. But packaged into that verse is this fantastic promise about the garbage that we've allowed into our lives. That's where we've come under slaveries. We've been overcome by evil. And that's that God will cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Now, that's a fantastic promise. So we can have allowed ourselves in the past to be overcome by anger, overcome by fear or depression or jealousy or all sorts of things that might have stirred up. Maybe even things like lust or greed, lying and cheating and stealing. These things tempt us, and if we give in to them, they control us. And yet here's this wonderful verse. If we confess our sin, God, I have messed up. I really haven't done the right thing. I've allowed these evils into my life. If we confess our sin, God is faithful and just to forgive us our sins. And, the big and I talked about with you yesterday, and to cleanse us. That's the taking out of the garbage, removing out of us the rubbish of the lockdown that we've been living with on the inside, where we've been trapped on the inside because we've been overcome by evil. Now, friends, as we take that thought even a little bit further today, I need you to think about the fact that you have allowed yourself in many different ways to be cheated out of your freedom. You've been promised almost that if you could venture anger and express it and explode, you'll feel better. But you don't. It's a lie. Or if you're fearful and really, really careful, then you'll have peace. But you don't. You don't end up with peace. You end up locked in fear. Or that if you could only get even with somebody and if you could make sure that they didn't have all the good things that you wished you had, that you'd be happy. But you're not. Spite and jealousy don't bring about any kind of happiness. So the devil comes with a kind of an offer. Buy into this thing, and if you do, it'll make you happy. And it's always a lie. It never comes true. You only end up trapped and robbed and stolen from, defeated in some way. Which is why then we go back to that wonderful verse I've mentioned yesterday, 1 John chapter 1, verse 9, about confessing our sin, being forgiven, and then being cleaned out, cleansed of the rubbish that we've allowed into our life. So the devil comes with his deals, with his offers, and he puts pressure on you. And the only way he can win is if you give in. So today, I'm going to name this Don't Give In Day. And the reason I do that is because that's the only way the enemy is going to get advantage over you. If he scares you and you refuse to be afraid, then you didn't give in and he doesn't get control. If he wants to make you feel angry, but you keep forgiving the other people and putting the anger down and trusting everything to God, then you don't give in and you don't come under the power of evil. You've actually overcome evil by not giving in. The devil's power over you is to push you and lie to you and put pressure on you and stir things up inside you until you give in. Well, today is Don't Give In Day. Don't give in to those feelings. Oh, sure, you might be jealous. Sure, you might be angry. Sure, you might be frustrated. Sure, you might be afraid. Sure, these things will come against you, but don't give in to them. It's only when you give in that they take control. Right now, with the big wrangle happening in the American elections, we've got the situation where there was all kinds of lying and cheating going on, and machinery and fake votes, and trickery that's been going on. And the only way for the people that cheated in the election to win is for Donald Trump to give in. If he gives in and concedes, then there will be no thorough judicial inquiry. There will be no exposing of the evils and the lies and the cheating that went on. And so in his position, he has to learn how to hold on and not give in. And because he won't, eventually the evil is going to be exposed and the people that were doing the wrong things are going to end up being dealt with. And I understand the best I can make of it all is that Donald Trump will have a second term as president of the United States, despite what the papers are saying. But there's this pressure to make him give in. Come on, just give in. Because if he gives in, the other side gets an easy win. They haven't got to prove that they were right or that they'd won or that there wasn't cheating. But if he holds his ground, then there's going to be an investigation about the cheating and the counting of the legal votes and the proper checking out of what actually took place. But the same thing happens inside you. The devil puts pressure on you because he just wants you to concede. He wants you to give in. Oh, I suppose I was just tempted too much. That girl was too pretty. Oh, the money was too easy to get my hands on. I couldn't take credit for something I didn't do because they were already giving me the award, and why should I upset them by not accepting the award? All sorts of ways in which we choose to give in. And when we give in, we are overcome by evil. So friends, in the midst of your situation, in your family, in your private life, in the bigger community around you, in your work, wherever it may apply, don't give in. Don't give in to evil. Hold your ground. Resist the devil. Push against him. Claim the forgiveness and freedom that comes through Jesus Christ. And be determined not to be overcome by evil, because you stand your ground and say, I'd rather call on God and get his help than give in on this one. I'm not going to come under the power of evil. I will not give in. So today, friends, just have your little antenna twitching, and as you get tempted, as you find yourself under pressure, as people and circumstances put pressure on you to be angry or to be fearful or to be resentful or to be jealous or to be lustful or to be greedy or to be deceptive or any other evil, don't give in. Catch yourself and say, no, I'm not going to be overcome by evil. I resist this thing. And as long as you don't give in, it has no power over you. It only has power when you give in. So today, it's Don't Give In Day. That's your challenge. And of course, it doesn't just apply today. This is a lesson for the rest of your life. Learn it well today. And as you do, God bless you.